be negative.
Okay. Parker, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement, and that time begins now.
Back in England, around 1760 to 1840, the Industrial Revolution was happening. The Industrial Revolution was a time when many new innovations were made, and the factory workers were treated well and taken care of. That's what the factory owners wanted to do, to think. There were many innovations made, but this is about the only upside to this situation. When the workers came to work at the factories, they were promised that they would get paid good money, a good place to live, and be in good working conditions. The workers ended up making pennies a day and had to live in houses that stored hundreds of people, and they all had to share one bathroom. This was not the worst part, though. The factory workers had to work in extremely harsh conditions for up to 16 hours a day with no break, and they were exposed to many dangerous things in the factories like poisonous gas or by the dangerous machinery. These dangerous things caused over 100,000 deaths, and lots of those deaths were children. The factory owners and the government tried to hide all of this, but they ended up killing thousands of people. When Martin Luther lived, there were things called indulgences that the church sold that supposedly saved you from the underworld. These indulgences were fake, though, and the church just wanted people to buy them so they could make more money. They stole that money from the innocent townspeople who were in poverty and had barely any money. Also, a good example about how lying is bad can be found in the book Animal Farm. In this book, the pigs had a list of rules that the animals on the farm had to follow. Over time, though, the pigs changed the rules of the farm, and they lied to their fellow animals, so they had not changed the rules at all, and they were simply that way the whole time. The worst part is the other animals believed them. Also, when the farm was electing a president, the pigs told the animals that only Napoleon could run for president, when this was not the case. Here is an excerpt from the book. In April, Animal Farm was proclaimed a republic, and it became necessary to elect a president. There's only one candidate, Napoleon, who was elected unanimously. Also, the pigs do more despicable things throughout the book. They take all the apples and milk for themselves, and then lie to the other animals that the pigs should have all these eggs so it keeps their brains healthy. Another incident is when Boxer was hurt, and they promised the animals that he would be rushed to the hospital. Instead of the hospital, he went to a gluery, and the pigs lied to the animals that the Boxer had died in the hospital a few days later, when this was not the case. If the pigs were more honest, then the animal farm would have been a lot better. There would be equal rations to all the animals, and the work would get done a lot faster. You might try to tell me that lying can be good sometimes because it saves people's feelings. Lying may save people's feelings, but it's still the wrong thing to do, even if it's just a white lie. Lying is not the answer. As we've seen in our examples here, when people lie, bad things happen to them, like the workers in the Industrial Revolution to the animals in Animal Farm. Thank you. I now stand ready for cross-examination.
Nikki, you have 2 minutes to cross-examine Parker, and that's 2 minutes to minutes.
Have you ever lied before?
Yes.
After this lie, did you experience extreme regret to the point of harming yourself or others?
No.
Then how can you tell me that lying is so bad when the average person doesn't even receive a severe consequence for it?
Well, lying, it depends on if it's the different types of lies. Some lies can be very big, and some lies can just be really small lies.
When you come to school and some people don't like your outfit, would you want them to come up and tell you?
No.
Well, and then if, say someone just really didn't like you, but you didn't talk to them, so it doesn't really matter. Would you want them to come up and tell you that they hated you?
No.
In your opinion, would these things feel nice to hear?
They wouldn't feel nice to hear, but if I didn't really know them, I wouldn't have really thought about it too much.
Okay. Now if you were in the war and your opponent asked for your, if you're like, it's like a spy or something from the opposite end, asked you for your plans, then should you tell the truth and just tell them everything?
No.
There stands my point that lying can actually help you in some situations and can help you with, like, constructive criticism doesn't really help because it doesn't really matter what other people like think about small things in your outfits and stuff like that because it's just building yourself up and making yourself feel better, so lying doesn't end up being that bad. Okay, I'm done.
Alright. So Nikki, you have 3 minutes for your opening statement. And that time begins.
Is honesty really the best policy? How many times have you been in a situation in which you have had to question whether honesty is the best option for you? Have you ever been reading about situations in history where rulers have lied to their country or nation to get what they want? In this case, lying worked in their favor. My topic is that honesty is the best policy, and I disagree with this statement. A white lie is so you lie to somebody else and so that you don't hurt their feelings. Here are some scenarios in which this might occur. If someone asks if they look bad in a certain outfit and you say yes, that will just make them feel bad and insecure. Another scenario that might occur is if your friend tells you a secret and they make you promise not to tell anybody, and you promise. And then another friend comes up to you and says, did she tell you a secret? And then that friend wants to know it. But you have to say, sorry, she didn't tell me any secret. White lies are sometimes necessary. If you're not supposed to tell a secret, then just lie about not knowing it. Or if you don't like what someone is wearing, compliment it anyways, because that doesn't make you a bad person. In Wonder, when people told August that they didn't like him because of his disability, August felt bad about himself. Therefore, if they hadn't said those things and lied to him about what they actually thought about him, then they would have respected August's feelings. Here's a quote by Mary Wilson Little. Politeness is only half of good manners, the other half good lying. This quote and these examples show that lying isn't always meant to hurt others, but simply to be polite. Lying to gain power could make you become successful. An animal farmed fully and lies to other animals on the farm to get him on his side and to gain their respect. By doing this and making Snowball seem like a lesser person, he made himself look like a better person. All the animals ended up on his side and followed him trustingly. Another example is when Italy was promised land by the Allied forces and never ended up receiving it. The Allied forces ended up more successful and with more land to spare because they didn't have to give it to Italy but still got to use their army. Everyone lies at least once in their lifetime, and we are all fine. Statistics show that 60% of people can't go 10 minutes without lying. If you took a survey right here, right now, everyone would tell you that they have lied at least more than once in their past. Do over half the people in this room seem like decent or nice friends? You see, lying isn't that bad, and I'm sure that in their defense they did it with a goal to help others. With all this being said, I would like to add that not only is lying not a bad thing, but it can also help in certain situations. Of course, you have to know when to use it, but no bad has ever come from a good liar with good intentions. So next time you have to lie, think about what you intend to get with this lie. Whether it's your own success or your friend's benefit, it probably has a meaning behind it. Thank you, and now stand ready for cross-examination.
Parker, you have 2 minutes to cross-examine me, and that time begins.
Was it fair that the factory workers did not get what they were promised when they started working in the factories in the Industrial Revolution?
No.
Okay. When the churches sold indulgences to the townspeople and lied to them that would save them from the underworld, was this the right thing to do?
Well, in some way they were using it as a moral by the church, so it had some sort of religious standpoint behind it. So I feel that maybe they actually believed in these indulgences when they were selling them.
Well, they did have a religious standpoint behind them, but also these churches knew that these indulgences wouldn't really do much. They just kind of took that money from the innocent townspeople.
But they didn't necessarily lie to them. They just told them that these things could help them later on in the afterlife, and in some way I think that they actually believed that this was true.
Was it okay that the pigs changed the rules of the farm in the book Animal Farm to suit their own wants?
Well, it helped them gain power, so yes.
Well, it helped only a few of the animals gain power, but the rest of the animals were left lied to. It was unfair to them.
Well, the animals that were lying were the ones who would later have received the punishment for lying, but never did end up receiving it, so they actually ended up gaining power and success, so it worked in their favor.
Was it fair that Italy did not get the land they were promised when the Allies won World War I?
Yes, because the Allied forces ended up with more land and they got to use their army.
Yes, but when Italy joined the Allied forces, they were promised they would get some land out of the Ottoman Empire.
Well, Italy wasn't the one lying. The one that was lying were the Allied forces, and basically it wasn't a bad thing that they lied because they ended up getting what they wanted.
I'm done.
So you both have 1 minute to prepare for your closing statements. You may use the table behind you or the podium.
shown many examples to prove that honesty is really the best policy. Being honest is always the right thing to do. From the times of the Industrial Revolution to the modern day examples, lying can hurt people in many different ways. One thing that you said was, in the book Animal Farm, Napoleon lied to all the other animals to only help himself. But this did not benefit the farm in any way, it just benefited only Napoleon once. For once and for all, lying should be stopped, and people need to be more honest. If people didn't lie, wars would be stopped and peace would come among our world. Everything would be better because simply everyone is more honest. A quote from Edgar J. Ron sums up my argument. A lie has speed, but the truth has endurance. I'm done.
Nikki, in your closing statement, you have 1 minute beginning now.
In conclusion, I would like to restate that lying is helpful and not harmful at all. Lying is a great way to make others feel better or to gain success and power. Lying doesn't harm anyone gravely, and everyone does it. The quote of an anonymous source says that comfort me with a lie, don't hurt me with the truth. This shows that people would rather be comforted and reassured even if they don't believe what they are telling the person is true. This is better than hurting and constantly tearing someone down by telling them everything you hate about them. My opponent argued that lying is immoral. Well, humans will be human. My opponent also said that the person is being hurt when they are receiving the lie. Well, the person that's receiving the lie is not the person telling the lie. The person that's telling the lie is the one who ends up gaining power, therefore it helps in their favor and lying is not bad. To sum up my argument and my thoughts, I would like to add that lying is inevitable, and no matter how hard you try, there will always be that flaw. So it isn't as immoral as you might think, and I'm not lying about that.
Good job.